Goals 2000 bill does, believe it or not, for the first time in the entire history of the United States of America, is to set world-class education standards for what every child in every American school should know in order to win when he or she becomes an adult.
You measure every day. That's why you're successful business people. I mean, you know what your business is doing. I believe we ought to extend that same principle to our public schools and ask a simple question. Can a child read at grade level? And in order to determine that, that's why you measure. So the principle behind the No Child Left Behind Act is to set high standards, believe every child can learn, and measure to see if we're getting results.
Over a decade now since Congress passed the No Child Left Behind Act and ushered in this so-called era of high-stakes testing. And certainly what I've seen over that time period is that there's been a lot of private discontent, but never enough to generate sufficient public noise that could impact policy.
When I took office, I asked Arne Duncan to work with states and local school districts to take on business as usual in our education system. And that's how the Race to the Top competition was born last July. It's a national competition among states to improve our schools. A major new investment, more than $1.3 billion in this year's budget to continue the race to the top.
But I think beginning with the election of Barack Obama and now subsequent re-election and the disappointment that a lot of his education policies continued to rely on standardized tests, I think what we're seeing is that from the Pacific Northwest to the Lone Star State, there is a groundswell of educators who are now publicly saying enough is enough.
New at noon, Cleveland high school students walked out of class this morning to protest standardized testing. The Portland Student Union wants students to opt out of state standardized tests. They say those tests do not give an accurate evaluation of students' knowledge or teachers' ability.
You're making kids who need to love school hate school. Arts, history, sports, all being pushed aside for test prep. And I said, folks, this is child abuse.
We are facing this powerful combination of the United States Department of Education in alliance with some of the wealthiest people in America, in alliance with ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, in alliance with paid-for advocacy groups in this town that dare to call themselves think tanks. And they're allied against public education, against teachers, against children, and against good education.